Chaser, and welcome to our holiday, Christmas, Yuletide, everything extravaganza.
Yay!
Pass the nog, boys.
I just got back from a lovely week in New York where I saw oodles of shows and lots of old friends, and it was marvelous.
Yay! How nice.
I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub, and I spent the week in my workshop stuffing tinsel and twisting holly.
Oh, my
and
tubby little elf.
Getting all my Christmas cards out. It was a little bit of a flurry this year, but they're out. They're in the mail. They're soaring through the sky.
Hi, my name is Michael Willer. I'm a Chubby Chaser, and I'm so excited today because we have our completely new, overhauled podcast recording setup. We're in person again.
Yes.
We got new mics. We got new recording board, everything, and everything seems to be going so well so far.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Hey there, my name's Don. I'm a big chubby guy living here in sunny Hollywood, and today I am very eager to return home to my new gingerbread house apartment, covered with candy that I'll be using to lure in various chasers from across the neighborhood.
Yeah, I was saying that was really going kind of witch there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's embraced it at the end. I like it.
Hey, no one turns down a good hard candy. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. People
Ooh.
love hard candy.
Oh, my.
I've got some good hard candy.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show. Elves of every stripe, welcome home.
We've got a fun show for you. We have what I imagine is going to be a somewhat spicy main subject. That
I have notes.
we haven't talked about it yet. We've reserved it for the
Trevor has put hot sauce in the eggnog.
Our audience would have laughed enormously watching us set up because Michael is our little elf here, unpacking our boxes and setting up our new recording studio.
So many boxes.
And every once in a while, someone would drift through the room and be like, "Hey, about Dear Santa," and then Michael would just turn around and throw a microphone at them. It's like, wait
till the podcast.
Save it for the episode. Save it for the episode.
At this time of year, we're especially grateful to you, our listeners, and to our patrons on Patreon. You keep the show going. You support us through thick and thin, through Christmas and Hanukkah and everything in between. Also, thank you to our partners, Big Fig and Bearskin. It's not too late to get yourself some. I mean, I don't actually know what their shipping deadline is, but you can probably, it might be today when the episode drops that get your underwear. Order
Get your holiday underwear now.
Yes. And I don't know, maybe you're getting a Big Fig for Christmas. Maybe that's your big secret Santa gift. It's just going to be down the chimney when you come down.
Actually, it would fit down the chimney the way it's shipped. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Damn.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
Good luck getting it up the stairs without Santa's help.
Yeah. Maybe reward Santa afterwards. You never know. Once the bed is set up.
Apparently, Don has a whole house for that.
Hey, don't forget, Santa gets tired of cookies. Occasionally, he likes a little hard candy.
Oh, boy.
Also, just a programming note, we are going to be taking a little holiday hiatus, and we will be back Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. New year, same us, baby.
Yeah. Are we ready to dive in?
Yes.
I, for one, am ready.
I'm excited.
The pop culture is still... Oh, wait, no, we have a mailbag.
Oh, right. Oh, my God.
Mailbag.
Oh, it's so exciting. Everyone loves getting mail around the holidays, and we wanted to share some mail with you.
So not too long ago, we did an episode on practicing self-care, and we had a listener write in. When times close in on me, I try to rewatch stories inspired by true events, people who gathered others around them to fight for good, to grow, to overcome. Well-known titles include Selma, 10 Years a Slave, Gandhi, Hidden Figures, The Help, and Loving. But there are also many lesser-known works. Amazing Grace is a favorite of mine about a British parliamentarian who gathered others around him and ultimately ended the slave trade in Britain. Best of all is the 2014 movie Pride, in which a group of queer London activists decide they share oppression with striking Welsh coal miners in early 80s Margaret Thatcher's Britain. They raise funds to support the striking miners, changing hearts and minds on both sides, and ultimately win concessions for the miners. The coal miners then returned the favor. These were real people, real events. One queer young man gathered others around him, and one became many. This is a real movie that Don loves. This is Don stepping out. Pride is an amazing movie if you haven't seen it.
Oh.
It's a great movie.
That does sound amazing.
And it's the birth of the Labour Party, if I recall correctly, in England.
No, really?
Yeah, it's basically gay support to striking labor workers. And then when, because they recognized that the Thatcher government was cracking down on them using the same tactics they're using to attack gay people in the cities. So they basically went out there and educated them, this is how we fight. And then basically when the government turned around and started cracking down on gay people, the labor movement came back and saved them. So it's a beautiful story.
That is amazing.
Finishing up our litter. Right now they want us to think we are alone and small, but we have each other wherever we are on the planet. History has stories for us to hear again, so we can keep moving forward.
Yay. That's a
you for
lovely
that.
sentiment. That's a really good like send off for the holidays
Yeah,
mailbag.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank
It's
you.
a great list of movies too.
All right. Diving in.
Yes.
Culture.
Let's do it.
Wow, wow.
Let's lead off the holidays properly with a lovely story talking about the Tomb of Santa.
No.
Santa's dead?
Yes. I was so excited to see this. This is from Euronews. The headline is A Christmas Miracle? Archaeologists uncover the tomb of Santa Claus.
Oh my God.
Inspiration for St. Nicholas.
Just ruining childhoods everywhere.
No. He rose on the third cookie.
Oh, so he's zombie Santa.
I do feel the need to point out probably not a lot of kids reading Euronews, but you know.
That's probably true. Still, you never know.
I want a movie about, it's like the mummy meets the Santa Claus.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And it is the archaeologists uncovering Santa's tomb.
I want Indiana Jones running down a long tinsel-strewn hallway with a gigantic Christmas tree bauble rolling down the hallway past him.
To actually get into the story, so archaeologists have discovered what they believe is the tomb of St. Nicholas, the philanthropic Greek bishop who was the inspiration behind Santa Claus. I guess maybe we should have a warning for people who listen to their kids, which I think is no one, but
Yeah.
there's always that thing on the news whenever there is a story about Santa, like, hey, you might want to get the kids out of the room.
I feel like I would love for our podcast to be friendly to like teenagers, but nobody under the age of like 13.
Yeah.
Don't spoil the movie we're reviewing.
In this tomb, there was a 6-foot long lime sarcophagus buried 6 feet deep within the 2-story annex of St. Nicholas Church in, I'm going to try to do this, Demre Antalya, Turkey. Did I get that right? Does that sound right?
Probably not, but that's okay.
Yeah. Which I just like love that like Santa's buried in a sarcophagus.
Well, how wide? They measured the length of it. How wide was the sarcophagus? That's what I want to know.
So true, Michael. So true.
Was St. Nicholas as jolly as we all thought?
Yes. I want to, is it,
Was he a cubit by a cubit?
did we expect a gingerbread sarcophagus? Or would it be like solid peppermint?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Or encased in frozen hot cocoa.
There's actually a video.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of Santa's tomb?
Oh my
You're
God.
still advertising that house you got, aren't you?
There actually is a video accompanying this of like one of the archaeologists involved in this project in kind of the ground where they're excavating the tomb. And she has like a candy cane looking pole that I don't know if is intentional.
Oh, right.
I don't know what she's saying because it's
Isn't that a
in
bishop's crook,
Turkish.
though?
It's a pole and it's striped, candy cane striped. She's using it to measure the tomb. So she kind of puts it on the ground and holds it up, and I guess it's in 6-inch increments, more or less. It's got to be intentional. It's red and white. Like, what are we doing?
She stole it from the North Pole.
It's very funny.
I mean, the big takeaway from this is like Hollywood make a movie about Santa Claus's tomb.
Oh, you can't because of what we just said. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, it could be. So, okay, here's my pitch.
unless he rises on the third cookie, like I said.
The tomb isn't in Turkey. It's in the North Pole. And he goes into stasis in his sarcophagus.
Wow.
Because
That's
he's an
your
alien.
hello Hollywood. That's your movie. Call me.
Oh my God, that's his life. They let
Yes.
him out of his tomb in his suspended animation for one night a year.
That's horrifying.
And it's just an eternal journey. As soon as his eyes close and the work is done,
Oh my God, I'm
his
imagining
eyes
like
open, the work begins.
Well, you know, we
again.
always knew that Christmas was really based on slave labor.
the elves like marching into the tomb with like incense doing this ritual, but it's like very high pitched chanting.
I have-
Vithos,
I'm actually hearing Grieg's March of the Dwarves. Dum, 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 dum.
I just appreciate the art that they use at the top of the article.
Yes.
It's a stock image that somebody
Of
photoshopped. It's of a tomb, a photo of a tomb with a photoshopped picture of Santa like leering up over the edge of the top of the sarcophagus.
It's Revenge of Dead Santa.
And the expression on his face is terrifying. He is
wants
not
your
jolly. He's out for revenge.
Santa wants brains.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, wait. So we had these napkins growing up it was Santa's face and it just said, he knows.
Oh, Jesus.
And I have to find it because I sent it to my sister recently. It is the creepiest
That's terrifying.
thing.
He knows.
Oh my God.
That's terrifying. No, that's not okay.
Can that be the cover art for this episode?
Yes. And Santa knows he's always watching.
Yeah,
In stasis in his tomb.
Even when he's dead. Oh boy.
This is like complete other vibes. This is Science Alert. Santa's health is a serious concern.
Oh, God, of course it is.
Or Santa's health is a serious cause for concern, expert says.
Experts say.
Expert, just some expert. Oh God. So yeah,
They made this fucker up.
We love to do a sandwich, an Oreo cookie of news, starting off nice and crunchy and delightful, and
Before we get to the sewage.
yeah,
This is not really anything new because I feel like even every year or every couple of years, there's one of these stories of like, actually, it's unhealthy to have Santa be fat. This is problematic.
Can I just ask, are these authors in the UK?
I am pretty sure they are.
I believe so.
I think it's required by law.
They were using kilograms for.
Oh, absolutely.
And talking about mince pies.
Yeah, it's not even surprising. And I
Did
think,
you mention this is in Science Alert?
yeah,
Yes.
of course it is.
Let me nip this in the bud. Basically, it's an article that goes into every single thing that you can imagine Santa might have health problems with, right? He's got fat around his midsection. He's got rosacea is one of the things
They
that
wanted
they
to
talk about.
alcoholism, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
And
that's-
that the UV damage to his skin from flying
From what, the moonlight?
From being to the altitude. That he
At
flies-
night,
but
I know.
allow
No, moonlight is just reflected sunlight,
Allow me
man.
to offer one counter, right? Dear friend, complaining about Santa's fatness and being so concerned about his health.
Yeah.
Please put up any fitness influencer or athlete or anyone you like. And now I will compare that person to my guy Santa, who flies all the way around the world carrying toys for every child on freaking Earth. On his
Climbing
back,
up and down chimneys.
Climbing up and down every freaking chimney.
And balancing on icy rooftops.
Somehow they leave that out.
Yeah, that's the ultimate fitness influencer, my friends.
Okay, hold on.
If we're but no, that's true because we're talking about a fictional character, right? Sorry, children. But so if you're going to go into the realities of this fictional character in terms of his health, you have to also account for that shit.
They
You
always
can't
leave
have
that
it one
part
way.
out.
This gives me another idea. Hello, Hollywood. Trevor Key's on here. Extreme Santa Challenge.
Oh
where
my
it
God.
is like
Yes.
people doing like the
Yes.
extreme, like the
That's
mud
so
runners
good.
and stuff, or was it muck rock? The people where like they do the mud thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
the insane
Like,
people. You just mean crazy people.
Those people who do like the insane fitness challenges, doing Santa challenges where they have to like go up and down a chimney
Right.
with a heavy, like a weighted
With a
bag.
50-pound
Tough
bag.
Mudder.
Yeah.
That's-
They have to like chug a bunch of milk,
Eggnog, I
eat some
think.
cookies,
Each
then
time.
go back up. Yeah.
Yeah, each time.
Oh, I see.
And then like traversing, like to have like a cold room.
No, I think this is just the pinnacle of anti-fat bias. And what I always say, like, it's never about the health. It is absolutely 100% not a concern about health, because when you start attacking the supposed health of a fictional character, of a thing that's not even a human being, and you're worried about, and that's your health thing, it's obviously not about
The
health.
thing that's literally the embodiment of childhood innocence and joy.
No, but it
can't be good enough for you.
No, it reminds me of like when Dan Quayle went after Murphy Brown for her husbandlessness. You know,
Also,
like a fictional character, really?
the idea of Santa shouldn't be having mince pies and cookies. What do you want Santa to be eating? 6,000 kale salads?
Yeah, obviously there is magic at play here.
Yeah.
No, and this is clickbait. It's purely clickbait.
Yeah. I mean,
There was a few diversions of this kind of citing the same stuff, but I just
And
Like,
it's
they
so
took
UK.
it to the-
it's so quintessentially UK.
They took it to, this is the idiotic extreme they took this to. They were talking about his rosacea, which clearly means he's been drinking too much sherry.
No,
which Right? Exactly. It's like clearly it's because he's out in the cold air.
No, rosacea is actually a skin condition.
Now
There's also the alcohol-induced rosacea.
Alcohol flush syndrome. Anyway, the point was that they were talking about this in the context of like, oh, when you're fat and when you've been drinking, you don't feel the cold air as much. You're more insulated, which is more dangerous because you can get frostbite without realizing it.
Fuck off.
Like, are you kidding me?
Also, they talk about the prolonged exposure to particulates in chimneys increasing the risk of different cancers.
I just like
look. Obviously, this is a joke article that some editor somewhere was like, we need something.
No, but it's so
silly.
quintessentially British to shit on Christmas and to take fat people as the target.
Yep. All right, Eagle, take me away.
Smartwatch 2024. Oh my God, Santa.
Still alive.
And we're going back to the other crunchy cookie. Some texture, some relief, some good news. So this is a story from NPR, and it is talking about doctors dealing with childhood obesity are getting trained in empathy at schools.
Amazing. Doctors trained in empathy. What's gone wrong?
And this is terrible.
No profit in empathy.
No, you can't sell as many drugs.
And this is, it's one of those things where it's like, it's
something.
It's something. And I feel like the start of good.
Yeah, it's moving in the right direction. So it's the idea that like you can still have all of your concerns about these obesity caused health risks, but you don't lead with that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And this is, I think, the better half of it. If there is an urgent care issue, you just address the urgent care issue. You don't give them a speech about weight loss.
I love that this needs training.
I know.
That if you have an emergent condition, you should treat that first.
Like, can you imagine?
Just this.
Like,
yes.
How? Like, incredible.
Special training. This just out.
Good God.
I love that they describe a doctor talking to a mother and showing, the child's weight chart. And like, at this rate, your son's going to be 800 pounds by the time he's 15.
Yeah.
Which is just such like, I don't know, lazy doctoring.
No, don't let them off the hook. Wait.
It's almost like intentionally stupid.
Do not let them off the hook. This is not lazy. It is deliberately cruel.
But it's
to
also just
foster
like
prejudice.
so, like just the idea that like, yes, I am a doctor and I'm gonna this program here says that look at this chart.
People gain and lose weight on a linear scale, and if you just keep going at this rate every month, you're gonna be 1,000 pounds before you know
Well,
it.
and they use the
If
same
you're
height.
lucky.
They use the same height chart to show that a tall child is eventually going to be a giant.
I was supposed to be 6'2", according to my doctor. I'm 5'10". Like, come on? Like, it's all idiotic.
Yeah.
At this rate, your son will be the size of the sun by the time he's 53 years old.
Yes.
Look, like it's just so.
But to be fair, that's in Chinese years.
Oh my God. It's, I had, obviously I'm getting a little flustered because it's like just so
Bonkers.
basic. It's bonkers, but the fact that like, it's actually like, it's happening. And the fact that it's taken this long to be like, oh, actually, what if we treated fat people like human beings? And like, maybe we should teach this in schools.
Yeah. And like, instead of treating them like they're a mistake, we should treat them like a mistake with a disease.
Yeah. Look, we've talked on the show multiple times over the past 4 years about like our childhood, Trevor and my experiences, kids going to the doctors. The fact that it's taken this long, this many decades to acknowledge that some empathy training may be necessary.
By the way, Trevor, where is this empathy training taking place?
University of Minnesota.
Okay.
But there's one other thing here that I just hope they take into consideration. Like, we have the perspective of like empathy is needed for fat kids, right? But there's no reason just to train your people just to be empathetic to fat people. Let's just train empathy to our medical professionals.
But see, what this hinges on is there's lots of sympathy for kids with cancer because it's not their fault. There's lots of sympathy for a kid with a broken leg because it's not their fault. But clearly, a fat kid is doing it to himself or his parents are doing to it deliberately. And that's what we must snuff out.
Right. But what I'm talking about is also, we have a major problem in the United States with black people not being taken seriously when they complain about pain. That is an empathy issue. right?
Well, because the textbooks used to say that they have a higher pain tolerance.
Oh boy.
You didn't know that?
textbooks, yeah, the textbooks did say that, but the fact is that it's not really taught that way anymore, but it's still around
It's still
because of a
present.
lack of empathy.
Well, and to be clear, a lack of empathy driven by racism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, empathy puts a kind of a smiley face.
Yeah,
on it, I think.
it's a kinder way to say it. But your point
But
is well taken.
empathy is the route to better treatment for just about everyone, and it's absurd to me that it's taken this long to even talk
But Don,
about
how
it.
dangerous would it be if you let your empathy get in the way of a good diagnosis? That could be risky.
Yeah.
I mean, how will they know they're not quite right?
God.
I just think
But this is reported at NPR and Weekend Edition. Like it's, you know, there's something to this.
Again, it reminds me of I guess when I think our very first episode talking about how in was it
Washington
Washington State
State,
that ruled that you can't discriminate against fat people because they're the handicapped.
Right. It's but it's, protected.
It's like
so
it's something. That was our first. It's something.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
famously.
But I don't know. I think it's there's a lot. I have notes, but I think the fact that they're like we should be empathetic to fat kids. We should tell them it's okay to to eat candy and sweets. That
It
it's not. That
reminds me of the Catholic Church's new dictum of it's not okay to persecute gay people. We have to treat them like human beings. They're not fucking getting married. Don't get me wrong, but we have to treat them like human beings as if they were human beings.
I did like what Trevor was saying though, because there is a point in here that's kind of buried in the middle of all of this. It's something which is like if kids I love ice cream, it's my favorite food or whatever.
Right.
Like you don't stigmatize it. You don't tell them, oh no, you can't have that. It's like it's fine, let them have ice cream.
Well, that's your problem right there, Sonny.
Which is, but that's kind of wild coming from a doctor like that. Even inside of this conversation, that's kind of radical. I appreciate that. Not stigmatizing food didn't necessarily have to be part of this conversation.
And I wonder how many doctors will think it's bullshit. Well, of course I'm going to smack it out of his hands. It would be improper not to do so.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But still, it's something.
Yeah, it's something.
Okay, well, so here we are.
So, gentlemen, after having talked about empathy, do we show some empathy for this movie that we just watched?
This movie is called Dear Santa. It just came out, and we were excited to watch it because it has Jack Black starring as Satan, or so he says at first. Yeah. And he gets called in because a kid writes to Santa, but the kid's dyslexic, and apparently that means you're going to write words backwards, and so he says Dear Satan instead, and Satan, this devil gets called in.
Jack Black shows up, pretends to be Santa for a hot minute, and then the kid figures out he's Satan.
And shenanigans ensue.
Yeah.
Now, so we told people to watch this movie, kind of assuming it's going to be a fun holiday movie. The main character is fat, the kid's fat, Jack Black is in it, he's fat, and it just felt like we were going to have this sort of holiday jolly fun time.
Well, Michael, it sounds like there's an apology coming up here.
I would personally, I don't speak for the whole podcast, but I personally maybe would like to apologize to people that we told
Michael,
to watch
you
this
speak
movie.
for the whole podcast, I think. I think that is a safe assumption, Michael.
I don't know. I mean, I think I have very strong feelings about where the movie goes, but I think it is a fine. I think it's fine. It's fine. It's I am not the target audience for the movie. I'm not really clear who is.
Well, all right, but here this, what this reminds me of, Michael. So I remember watching the thing about, I think it was the Disney show based on Star Wars, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't love it, but it's okay. And you loathed it.
Yeah.
And you were able to pinpoint, oh yeah, that's what I didn't like. Oh yeah, that is pretty terrible. Oh, you're right, that makes no sense. Because I kind of was in this fog of
it's fine.
It's a B minus.
Not great, yeah.
Yeah.
So my take as far, because there are a couple moments that felt kind of sliming as far as fatness goes.
Yeah.
They're not horrible, but they're not great either. And it's not the focus of the movie. It's not like the whole point of the movie is to make the kid thinner or whatever.
Well, no. And I will say, I think it was very engineered that all of the anti-fatness tropes were always said by fat characters to fat characters.
Okay.
All the thin people have no problem with it, which I think is what kind of supposedly takes the curse off.
And it's not a plot point, really.
Not at
It's
all.
not part of the plot.
No, it's just a little joke. Yeah.
I think for me, what rubbed me the wrong way about the movie was the parents.
Oh, they're horrible.
Yes.
Those parents are awful.
But also how they're handled. So the parents are, they're fighting a lot. The family lost a child. One of the kids died.
Yeah.
Which you don't know, which I think is a great little suspense point. You know something
Yes,
happened.
sure.
You know they moved. You don't know why.
Yeah, and they're very secretive and they don't talk about it. And so I think there, in a broad way, there's a good lesson in like when you can talk to each other and resolve the whatever's going on, which is what eventually happens. Then you can sort of heal and move forward.
Yeah.
However, the parents are horrible.
But that's by design.
Yeah, but it's weird because it's kind of treated in this slapstick way. Like they physically kidnap their kid from his date.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean. Like they're horrible and kind of like they're almost behaving like the Grinch. Like just over the top, like literally.
Well, they're afraid their child has grown up to be a terrorist, so that's kind of a natural.
No, they
response.
aren't. They thought,
they think he's going to blow up the Christmas parade.
is that what that was?
That's what I thought it was.
That was my
They thought he was going to blow something up.
Yeah,
Or
because
do
he's talking to
something
Satan.
terrible.
He's
Do
talking to
something
Satan. He's so excited for the big event.
Did they ever say that? Like I didn't pick up on that
my
at
thing
all.
with them
I
is more
assumed it.
about like they're just relentlessly awful.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
then things work out for them and we're done.
Well,
right? Like,
but to be fair, the reason they sort of work out, because remember, they do make a point of saying, like, I didn't fix this. And it could go back at any moment. No, they actually just started talking about their dead kid, which is what they needed. And then there's the Deus Ex Machina at the end,
Yeah.
whatever. But my point being, to address yours, is that, yes, they are very horrible, I think, in a very realistic way.
I don't.
I don't
I thought
either.
it was just presented in a bland,
It was
two-dimensional.
Oh,
It was
I've seen
awful,
it
like,
so
for
many
me.
times. in
very
couples.
poorly written.
I've seen it
I mean, to be
over and over
clear,
again.
this was my parents. Like this is my parents' dynamic. It felt incredibly cardboard to me.
Yeah.
And very. I mean, no. To be fair, so here was my issue with it. Was like they are tackling some real issues, but they're doing it in a like greeting card Hallmark movie way. To me, tonally, it just really clashed.
Yeah.
was
I
like,
think that's
this
the
is
point.
weird.
I think it's the point.
I had my thing when it just kind of kept running into this, like they're kind of tackling like these issues of the dynamic of the parents. He lost a brother, all this stuff, but the tone was weird. And there's also like the very drawn out, like diarrhea joke with the teacher.
Oh,
God.
yeah, that was so.
And I was,
Well,
and
because it's for
there's-
8-year-olds, yeah.
It's the characters are like 11 years old. It's a PG-13 movie. I was like, I feel like this is just weird. Like I feel like they could have cut some of the I think the cursing is maybe what pushed it to PG-13.
Is there a drat in there?
There's a shit. There's I think a couple of like one, I think a shit and a fuck, and I feel like that could have pushed it. It just, to me, I'm like, I don't know who this is for, because I feel like a 13-year-old would not have the patience for some of this.
Yeah,
I think it's younger. I think it's
I agree. It's also not only is it all over the map, sort of
Tonally.
with content, but like the dialogue is sort of all over the map. Like the kids
Yeah.
don't talk like kids; they
No,
talk
the
like
kids-
middle-aged
well,
men.
and if you look at who wrote the movie,
Yeah.
like these are people who would have had dated terminology writing for a movie like this in the 90s. Like
And
it's very out of
the
date.
entire movie felt like a '90s Adam Sandler movie.
very
to me.
much so, yes.
Yeah.
Same
Oh my
level
God,
of
yes.
comedy.
Yeah.
Same sort of like we're just hurtling towards this next plot point because we need to get there. And I actually don't agree about like the dead kid brother being additive to this movie at all. To me, the movie
Oh,
was
no, it has to happen.
to me, the entire movie was just sort of weird,
Yep.
light tonally, sort of like zany, I guess would be a term I would
Yeah.
apply to it. And then all of a sudden we're talking dead kid, which
Yeah,
doesn't
that was-
fit
yeah,
with
that-
any of the tone of the movie up to that point. And it just like everything, it felt like a screeching record.
But that didn't bother me. That tonal shift, that tonal chaos, I didn't have a problem with that. I kind of even appreciated it because it made it more fun for me.
I will say, spoiler alert, in case you haven't watched this movie and we've really convinced you to watch it now. He wishes the letter he wrote, which is a big secret the whole time.
As a reminder, the devil shows up and gives him 3 wishes for the movie. If he uses all 3, he goes to hell.
Right, so that's the conceit of the movie.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it turns out his third wish was null and void. So the devil, Jack Black's character, gives him what he originally wished for in the letter, which was for his brother back. And the brother gets like brought back. He's
That
like,
was so weird.
He's alive. He's there like nothing happened.
Which violates one of the rules of the wishes, which really bothered me.
yeah.
The what the fuck that I let out when
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
It was at the very
the
end.
reveal of that, and then just there's like a moment where Jack Black is like the angel on top of the tree, and he does like
a guitar riff, and it's like
Yeah,
like,
very-
what is happening?
Jack Black, and that's what I said. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then there is a reveal at the end, the little tag, the button of the movie is like his friend being like, yeah, the girls girl's gonna give you another chance. I told her about your dead brother.
Yeah, that's great.
So
Right,
it's just like
and you're just
weird, like world where like the main character remembers his brother is dead. The parents don't, but his
the friend does.
And it's like, what is going to happen with this family? Is
There's
it?
such weird.
Yeah,
It's
a
They
weird
just
thing.
needed it to go that way. So I wanted to point out one thing though, because we're kind of trashing the movie on some level, and
Yes.
I think there's plenty to critique there. But the main character, the actor who plays the main kid, whose name is Robert Timothy Smith,
He's very good despite the script.
He's very good, and that scene where his brother comes back, he goes so hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
His reaction, his it is real.
It's good.
And he blows everyone else in the movie out of the water for that scene alone.
Yep.
yes.
And I was incredibly
Which
impressed.
goes back to Don's point about tone.
I have to interject. I hated all three of the children at the core of this movie.
Really?
Their performances were terrible.
Oh,
I
no,
wanted to
no,
throw
okay, no,
things
that's
at the TV.
No, that's not it. That's the writing. No, that's the writing. Because they're written like old men. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Don to an extent, but I think part of it is the writing, and I think also just
And the directing.
we have been spoiled by like Stranger Things. I was thinking of Stranger
Yeah.
Things.
I
like,
agree with Trevor
It made
on that.
me
Yeah.
appreciate like because
Yeah.
it's like it's not bad. Like it's fine.
Or
but
even
it's,
even Abbott Elementary, where it's almost the conceit of Abbott Elementary is that the kids are never acting.
yeah.
Abbott Elementary kids work, but I really think that the acting from the children in this was the stuff of nightmares.
This felt- it felt like it
the
fit
writing
in-
was terrible, but the kids could not pull it off.
I think
No.
so watching this movie, my sense of it, especially given that last scene where the kid, I think, is objectively well.
I think it was his
is
strongest
acting really
scene.
well.
I will agree with you on that last scene.
Like he's
a good little actor.
He was as good as I'm forgetting his name, but the kid who played Elliot in E.T. If you look at all of the other scenes he's in and the way that they're directed, they are like, for instance, the first scene we see him and his friend, they're walking down the sidewalk. They did that as a oneer. They just did a full take of them talking and going through all of this dialogue and trying to hit all of the timing and the beats and everything. That is doing kids no favors.
Nope.
Like as a directorial choice, you're giving them no leeway to make a mistake and to cut around it. And I'm not against oneers as a director, but when you're
By
working
the way, you
with
should
kids,
really explain what a wonder is.
oh, it just means that you don't cut away from the shot you're showing. It's usually a longer shot showing most of or the entirety of a scene where all of the action takes place in one shot with no edits.
As if it were a play. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a very artful way to do them, but when you have child actors and maybe you didn't have enough time to rehearse the scene properly, it's hard. It's hard for adult actors.
I don't think that could have been done better. I don't think
No,
that's
you
right.
would do it
Multiple
without-
takes would not help that scene.
No, you would do it without doing a oneer. You would shoot it differently is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's a directorial
lift
choice.
you could lift up that good moment from that take and put it in.
No, I don't think
But
that's-
you can't do it if it's a oneer because
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand that. I just don't think that would have solved anything given the script. that dialogue.
It could easily have made it better.
It
The
would have
dialogue
been-
was
yeah.
bad, don't get me wrong. But I think the kids could have had more chances to do it right, and you would have been able to pick their performances. That's the whole point of editing.
Okay.
I think also, so Liam, the main character's best friend, Gibby, played by Jaden Carson Baker, is in these weird prosthetic teeth.
That
Really?
poor kid trying to act around.
Yeah,
those
which
teeth.
is like he can't, like, you can see he's like just struggling to talk with them.
Yeah.
And it's a plot point. Like he's supposed to have them for half the movie.
He
Well, not-
is,
not
but
even,
I
not
also
even.
feel
Or a
like
little less, yeah.
it is so like you could take it away and it would like affect nothing really.
No, but he has to have a deformity that can be corrected.
Yeah, and then they make a joke about the main character and his quote unquote physical deformities. That's the one
Yeah.
time where a thin character
Yeah.
implies that his body is wrong.
Yeah, but that
they
doesn't
don't
go
say
anywhere. It doesn't
they
go
don't-
anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't say fat.
And this was something that emphasized one of the things that was very weird to me was the lack of the world interacting with the lead child's fatness in any way. Right?
Yeah, but
They just ignore it, right? Which, on the one hand, like, yeah, that's my fantasy, is that I get to just sort of exist and not have that held over my head. But it just felt weird that there was a complete absence of it while everyone else his friend gets abused through the movie because everyone is treating him so badly about his teeth, right?
I don't remember
Meanwhile, okay, just like remember the kid at the concert trying to talk to the girl next to him.
Oh, she just
know?
sort of
Yeah, but
that's it.
But
Is there
that's
another scene?
symptomatic of the way the entire world treats that character.
Okay. But here's why, Don. I think because if you did that, see the whole premise of the movie, the reason the parents abduct him and take him to an insane asylum is because it is preposterous to them that their fat child could be cool. And if you investigated that, then you have a movie about the world and fatness, and that would, then we would.
That would sort of hijack the plot.
It would hijack the plot.
I'm aware, but it's very hard for me to watch that and just ignore that. It's so visible in its invisibility,
I don't, in a Christmas movie, I don't know. What do you want from it?
I understand, but it's just so
That ain't our story.
there in front of it, especially with a fat anchor character like Jack Black.
I mean, but I
It's
think
weird to me.
There's the interactions about fatness between Jack Black and Liam.
There's a couple.
And pretty early on. And I feel like those are sufficient given that this is really like a Christmas movie slash wish movie slash like dead brother comes back to life at the end movie. This movie, like why I say it's fine and like I think it's still maybe worth watching is there, the whole sequence of like where he goes on the date with the girl and they go to the concert and they meet Post Malone, which I'm like, I guess kids like Post Malone. I don't really.
I didn't even know. By the way, I didn't know if that was a real character or not.
that is a real person.
But like the fat kid gets to dance with Post Malone and his crush and Jack Black, and there's just like this nice little moment where it's like he's the cool kid and everyone's cheering and everyone's having fun, and it's like that's nice. That's like I think
But Don does make a good point in that victory is not as impressive when it seems like life as a fat kid's perfectly normal.
Well,
except his parents don't believe in him,
And I mean, there's magic at play. Like the devil that Jack Black is playing, and he's not Satan. He's sort of an underling, but he's able to use magic. Like he is manipulating the situation, and it's unclear. Did he just cast magic on Post Malone and everyone else is normal, or is the whole thing some kind of spell?
Oh, don't get me started.
There's
with the magic and Jack Black and like him influencing stuff. I did like that he doesn't wish for the girl to like him. He wishes to have a chance with the girl.
Which is
and
a crucial
Jack Black is like, I didn't make her like you. I am giving you a chance. You can still mess it up.
Yeah.
And I like that caveat in wish fulfillment because I think it makes it less icky with like a boy trying to get a girl.
Not only that, the problem is if you make it that he's going to get the girl, that's the wish, and of course it will be fulfilled, is then you have no tension because then it's like, oh, I got to watch him go through it.
I agree in the writing of the movie, except that when the first scene we see her in after he asks for the second chance with her, she's a different person. Her personality has been overwritten, and now she is exactly like him when he first saw her, and she's like,
she gets the same blurred vision effect when she looks at him that he gets when he looks at her for the first time.
And so they kind of do it halfway.
It's fuzzy. There's so many things in the movie like that.
And because of what Trevor said earlier with the dancing and everything being unclear if the devil's influencing people's perspectives and your point on her being unclear on like, is the devil affecting her look? And the devil bringing the kid brother at the end, right? Keep all this stuff in mind. What keeps happening in this movie is the movie sets up the characters to make an emotional journey, to change something about themselves, and then the movie changes the world around them so that change doesn't matter. Or gets undone.
And yes, I agree with that 100%. And I think the reason this whole movie is we have an amazing premise. A kid writes a letter to Santa, but it goes to Satan. It's a great high concept premise. The problem is that when you try to execute that, you run into all these problems and the plot just keeps failing forward. And you're like, oh, but actually this, but actually that. And then, you know what? Then their dead brother comes back. It just keeps failing forward, which is why I give it like a B-. Like, okay, I'm entertained, but
it
wow.
It felt like a first draft.
Yeah. It felt completely like a first thought.
Well, and really trying to make it work. You try so many devices that have to fall into place. And like, have you all got amnesia? The thing that drove me crazy is the very first condition of all the three wishes is Jack Black says, I cannot change the past.
Right.
Then
the kid comes back.
And then the brother comes back. Yeah.
So here's my thought, it's treating emotional journeys like the characters do the hard work and then their reward is that they never had the trauma in the first place. And that is wild to me. That is insane.
I think that would almost be like therapy. Like you change the trauma into triumph.
But they don't even remember.
Pointing out,
they didn't remember it. Yeah, no, I agree with Don on this 100%.
Pointing out he doesn't change the past because The
How
kid
not?
still died. The friends know the kid died.
But the
He
parents
talked
don't.
about
Oh, that's
talking
wishy-washy.
about the
Well,
dad.
that just proves my point.
I'm
how
just making
wishy-washy.
an argument
I
that
mean,
they gave themselves
Oh, I
a
see.
loophole
So he only
there.
changed the past for certain people.
No, he didn't change the past. He just brought the kid back from the dead
And,
and,
like,
didn't
changed-
bother to
erased their
explain it to
memory.
anyone.
Well, but the parents.
But the parents, yeah, they don't
parents don't
remember.
know he was
They
dead.
act like it's all normal.
Yeah.
they're just delusional. I have no idea.
It's
And that is the most mind-boggling part because it's like it's so unclear in what the rules are of this being back, and it's kind of like
well, they keep changing the rules so they
and
can move the plot.
It's why every wish thing, there's always either like you can't bring people back, or if you do, there is a horrible consequence
The
to someone
monkey's
coming
paw.
back. Yes, the monkey's paw. And it's just so weird that they throw that. It's like there is this very emotional moment. The parents don't get it, and also then they're like and the dad got a pony.
that was
Which I was just, and I think that's to kind of distract from like, wait, what the fuck
which
just
again,
happened
if
here?
he's going off the kid's list, I'm pretty sure the kid didn't wish for his dad's pony.
Well, they do show. I don't know if you guys noticed this. Right after the pony shows up, in the background of the shot, there is a shadow that goes by outside, like over the like trees, and I think they're implying that it was the real Santa who dropped off the pony.
For fuck's sake.
But it's not. It's
totally
clearly
missed
something
that.
they
Wow.
added in VFX. Like,
I think
did
that's
not
very
see that.
generous of you to make that make sense. I did see it. I didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what it was either. I'm just guessing, like, because it was there for something.
That's very generous of you. Yes.
I will.
I
so-
want to go back and see, actually just watch that.
yeah, I
part,
didn't
'cause
notice that at all.
I had to rewind it because I caught it out the back of a corner of my eye. Anyway, so here was my thought, kind of the overall, because we've been debating a lot and
Yeah.
talking a lot. So I went into this, like, I got cozy on the couch. I turned we have a gas fireplace, so I turned the fireplace on. I had my hot cocoa. I was ready for like a fun holiday romp. And there is a lot of that in this movie.
There absolutely
There's a lot of
is.
shenanigans. It's mostly lighthearted.
Like I said, B-, I think.
Yeah. But the insanity of some of these decisions
Yeah.
took me out of it.
Yeah.
And about 3/4 of the way through, I was just like, I give up.
Well, and again, my point is that these insane decisions are just to make the plot fucking work because they're just trying to problem solve no matter how irrational.
I mentioned to my personal trainer that we were going to be watching this, and he was kind of giving me like he's like, I watched that with my kids this weekend.
What did Cody say?
He was like, it's fine. Like he's like, I don't want to like really say anything because he didn't know how to.
He didn't
Yeah.
want to
talk about
poison
it
the
without.
well.
That's
So I
fair.
would be curious when I see him again to like find out his feelings about this. But his kids they range from like, I think the youngest is 9 and the oldest is like 16.
So they're
maybe.
post-Santa.
So it's kind of like but I think it's the perfect age range for the movie.
Oh yeah, we got to interview him.
No, and I think it's like if I were an 11-year-old, like, Gen Alpha, whatever, I don't think I would really have any problems with this movie. And I think I would also be on my phone during it, so I wouldn't be too like,
Yeah.
It would be wallpaper. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. As kids, you really don't scrutinize stuff like this. Like,
I would love to know because again, the kids are written like 40-year-olds.
True.
I would love to know what a real 11-year-old thinks of their dialogue. That it's either it's like to them it's fine because they didn't try to do alpha slang, or if it's like, oh my god, I can't believe nobody talks like that.
I'm split on this because on the one hand, they speak like it really is like an older writer, like a 40-year-old writer is trying to write slang relevant in the 90s.
But they're still using
now-
vocabulary choices that are like middle-aged man.
Right, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think
Like-
it would be worse if it was like,
Wait, which is
skibbity
worse?
toilet.
Yeah, that would be unbearable. That'd be
It's,
unbearable. And no adult would watch it.
it's Ohio.
Yeah. Like I because I was definitely sitting there like, man, this is not how kids talk. But then after a while, I was like, wait, but if this like 60-year-old writer is trying to incorporate current slang, that might be worse.
Yeah, that was.
Oh no,
Like-
no, and I think you pegged the age right because in the 90s he was that age.
And I went and looked at the cred for all of the writers and directors, and like they've got legit.
Oh no,
They worked on
that's
real-
why I was shocked.
I
watching
was
this.
too.
Yeah,
I was like, what first time director made this movie? And then I went and saw, I was like, wait, he did Dumb and Dumber? Holy shit. Okay. What happened
that.
to it?
Well,
I didn't know he made Dumb and Dumber. Everything I was like, wow, I am having a hard time with this. Makes sense now. Like the whole that endless diarrhea sequence. Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like it's
that's
still going.
where I was like, we're in Adam Sandler land.
Well,
This
may
feels
I
like-
just say, for Trevor to get bored with a diarrhea scene says something.
No, I don't. I don't like diarrhea. I think farts can be funny,
Sorry,
not diarrhea.
I stand
Diarrhea
corrected.
isn't funny. The word diarrhea is funny.
I think because diarrhea strikes fear into you very
There's very
hard.
clear rules in this.
So as we drift towards the end of this, Dan has given it a B.
B minus depends on
B
your
minus?
stringency. Yeah.
I think C- for me.
I think C minus D plus. Like it is
Yeah.
a movie. There is a narrative that can be followed.
I think you'll have fun and you'll smile.
And Jack Black is in a lot of it. He's fun.
yeah,
Like,
I actually find him irritating.
At best, I
He's-
think you
he's
can describe
himself.
it as inoffensive.
I find him like I like. Am I watching Beetlejuice?
All right, so at the best, I think this movie is inoffensive.
I think it's
And it will not leave you slimed. That it won't.
I agree. I agree. That's my B minus.
I think it's a C. I think there is Jack Black eye candy. He has this little workout scene where he's
Yeah.
in some like
Oh, if you're a Jack
you like
Black
Jack
fan.
Black and you like
Santa Claus.
singlets.
Yeah, singlets.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, he is a whole
There's a whole like
singlet scene.
little
Yeah,
workout sequence.
true.
It's a C. I think C. I think it's just like it's not
something.
bad. It's not good.
It's fine.
If you need something on in the background when you are wrapping presents or whatever, like
A friend of mine had a friend of theirs watch this, and I think she listens to the show. And their comment was, "I'm so glad so many people got employed making this movie."
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's a,
I feel that way a lot.
That's a takeaway. You know?
Yeah.
That's a very
Somebody got a job and got paid. Yay,
yeah.
you.
yeah,
silver lining.
and I think that's actually fair because there's the carnival sequence where like a bunch of people got paid for that scene.
Yeah, the extras in the concert
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, and the sets.
the
Somebody had to build all that.
school. There's kids that got to be like, I'm in a Jack Black movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's something. Well, after that whole thing, that spirited debate, I think we can do with a nice, fun bit.
So, today I just thought we might take a little journey back in time in our own lives.
Okay.
And it is the season for Christmas presents and children's joy. So I thought we'd return to our childhoods for a second. I just want to ask you all some questions about your favorite or your different gifts that you received.
You're
over
making
your
childhood sound awfully rosy.
Yeah, I'm very curious how this is going to go.
Well, so I've got 4 questions about presents you may have received or given over the course of your childhood.
Okay.
1, what is the gift you remember loving? Like, is there, when I say like your favorite childhood Christmas toy gift, does something come to mind? And I can't explain why this one comes to my memory, but like when you asked me what my favorite childhood present was, I have this memory of like a little motorized racetrack toy that had little horses in it that like, I remembered shaking and the horses would go around a racetrack and then like go up a little ramp and then get dumped down a slide.
Oh yeah.
So you'd have a little horse race on there. I don't know why that's just burned into my memory.
Yeah,
but
I get
remember
that.
being a little kid playing with that in awe of these little colored horses going around and around and around and around. Michael, what's something you remember from when you were a kid?
I was like, oh man, do I remember anything? I was like, oh no, I have a very obvious answer to this. At some point, I don't know if this was a birthday or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever. My parents got me 2 Star Wars posters.
Oh.
Which you guys may or may not recognize. I still have them.
Those are the ones you
Those
still
are
have?
the same ones.
Oh,
They've
wow.
been
What
through
do they
hell.
have? What do they have?
One of them is one of the a replica of one of the original Star Wars like posters that you would have
Movie
seen
posters.
like at a movie theater
Yeah.
for the original Star Wars. And then the other one is a painting, an artist rendering of Darth Vader kind of in flames and,
Wow.
kind of the prequels where people could only imagine what happened to Darth Vader.
I
If
love
only
that
that
you
were on
still
black-
have that. That's awesome.
If
Yeah.
only that were in Black Velvet.
Yeah.
I flashed on like a bunch of different 101 Dalmatian stuff.
Oh.
Because I was a Dalmatian boy.
That's awesome.
And specifically, like, I had this little, like, pedal fire engine that was, like, 101 Dalmatian themed. And actually, I kept it for a really long time. And even, like, when I was in high school, like, it was up in, like, our attic crawl space. And I was like, if I ever get turned back into a kid for a day,
Nice.
I know exactly where it is so I can, like, get in it and pedal it again.
That's fantastic.
And then also one year I got like a huge like life-size stuffed Dalmatian that it was a Perdita.
Yeah.
You are a Dalmatian.
And then
guy.
another like it had like a Dalmatian life-size Dalmatian puppy stuffed animal like climbing up on top of it.
I think, golly, I don't know if I got this for Christmas because I was so young. I was probably about 3 and I had a hobby horse.
Oh.
And it was really great. It didn't have rockers. What it had a frame and then each of the 4 legs was suspended by springs.
Yeah.
So, I
had one of those too.
I could go to town on that. And I rode, his name was Poncho. I'm not sure if I named him, probably not. I think my dad might have. Anyway, he was called Poncho. I don't know why. I can't imagine if I named him. I was 3.
There's video of it.
Oh, there certainly is.
Really?
I rode the shit out of that steed. And I actually, do I still have it? Yes. Even to this day, I have a callus on my right hand.
What?
You'll notice my palms. I don't know if you can see this. Like this area, it's just bigger than that area of where I was like holding on.
That's
and
funny.
I don't know if this is genetic or I was told this, whatever. But my father always called it my hobby horse callus because I rode that horse so much.
That is wild.
So the next question, since we've now heard about your favorite gift, what was the gift that got away? What was the toy that you so wanted when you were a kid that you never got?
I haven't. You go first, but
Okay.
I have an instant answer for this one.
I did too.
Yeah.
So when I was a little kid, Dan, you're the only one here who might possibly remember this because this thing disappeared and never came back.
Oh, yeah?
They were selling this. It was like a foot tall plastic Godzilla action figure that. I don't know why they did this. It had a little thing on the back of its head. When you flicked it, a little cardboard flame thing would shoot out.
I remember this.
And here's the one that's there. Here's the one that can't.
This is a special thing.
You had a little switch on its wrist that when you hit it, it would shoot its fist out and just fly across the room.
So like the paw would be a projectile.
I don't know why Godzilla had a shooting fist, but I thought that was the best damn thing ever. I wanted one of those so badly.
Did you really?
I wanted it desperately.
Yeah, there were a lot of
Never
toys like that.
showed
And I'm
up
like,
at
what
my
is that
house.
for?
Never showed up at my house.
I think I was probably 12 or 13. The video game Prince of Persia had just come out. It just looked so appealing and fun. And I asked for that for Christmas. And my dad went to the game shop because that's what you did at the time and asked about the game, and they didn't have any copies left. So he was like, well, what else would a 13-year-old boy be interested in if I can't get this? And Don's like in horror right now because this is
I know where
such
this
a bad
is going.
feeling.
I know where this is going.
So the guy at the store recommended this game. I think it was, which one was it? It was Medal of Honor. I think the original Medal of Honor game. And it's a first-person shooter. It was so different from what I was asking for, and I didn't want it. I played it out of guilt, and it was an awful feeling, and I felt so bad because even as a kid, like this is how my brain works. At the time, I felt awful because I didn't want my dad to feel bad for taking a risk and getting me something he didn't know if I was going to win. And and that's part of why I get really uncomfortable receiving gifts is it's that feeling like I can't stand it. So
Can I go next? Because my story is so like that.
Absolutely.
So So the one that got away is kind of like that. And I think this was a Christmas present. Might have been, again, I was so young. I didn't know the calendar. So I was probably at this point, maybe 7, 8. And somebody said, what do you want? What do you want for Christmas? And I said, like any intelligent, nerdy 6-year-old, a helicopter. And my dad fucking built me a helicopter.
What?
So, because he was a tinkerer and an engineer, and he got some wood, and he got yardsticks for the propeller, like the 2 cross yardsticks.
That's amazing.
Okay, but wait. And like I could sit in it. It was life scale. And I remember, and he's like, ta-da! And I'm like, it doesn't fly.
Oh boy.
And I felt so bad because of course it didn't, even as a 6-year-old, like, of course it doesn't fly, you idiot. And he obviously spent so much work on this.
Wow.
And so
that's so much worse than mine.
I mean, I like had to hide. I mean, like I felt stupid and disappointed and grateful.
Yeah.
And like, it was just a million little things.
Oh boy.
Because,
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yep. Ugh.
And he did a really good job.
Yeah. That's so much worse than mine. Because he made it.
He made it. No, like he sat there and
it was almost right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember thinking
It was the love copter.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't going to fly.
I mean, I have a bunch of different gifts where like they were just kind of wrong or like Like actually one thing.
Oh,
So
please,
Don,
there's
I
16
know
stories like that.
you worked on the game The Movies. So like I got that one year, but
Oh,
like our
yeah.
computer couldn't really run it.
Oh yeah.
So like I had a lot of things like that where I would get like a computer game I wanted, but like our computer couldn't run it, and it just like
Oh, but no, you
Yeah.
got to tell. You got to.
I know but the one that I feel like I must have told this on the podcast.
Doesn't matter.
before,
It's worth repeating.
but and this goes back to my 101 Dalmatians thing. Of there was a year my parents were like, we should get Trevor a Dalmatian puppy, or at least my mom was. My dad was probably like, yeah, whatever. And my mom went to me and she's like, okay, like, well, if you got a Dalmatian puppy, like, would you be okay that it grew up? And I was like,
Wouldn't stay a puppy.
but she framed it in a way where it was like, I was like, oh, well, if I ask for a Dalmatian puppy that stays a puppy, I could get that.
Oh.
So I was like, well, no, I want a puppy that stays a puppy. And then it's like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to get it then. Like, my mom didn't say that, but like, she was like, okay, well, that takeaway is we're
No
not
pup-
going to get it.
Yeah.
There is zero
thought you understood.
Dalmatian
No
puppy.
puppy was forthcoming.
Yeah.
And it's not like if I had known,
Yeah.
it's like, there's a Dalmatian puppy downstairs. Like, okay, well, I could go kill the puppy. It's like if I had known that, like, I would have had a Dalmatian puppy for a period of time, and then I would have
A dog.
a full grown Dalmatian.
You could have lived with that.
Yeah. I mean, that is like, I feel like a major sliding doors moment, because I don't know what that, like, if we like had,
Yeah.
What your
if I had a
life would have
Dalmatian
been like.
puppy, and like, also then if like we had a Dalmatian and then like my parents got divorced and we had the Dalmatian, like that would have been a
Gets a
whole.
Dalmatian.
Yeah.
It can be a weird, like my junior year in college, my mother decided to buy me a kitten for Christmas, but I couldn't take the cat back. And I was going to move to an apartment in New York City afterwards where I couldn't take, so she bought herself a cat. Final gift question for the day. You don't have to answer this one if nothing comes to mind, but I thought I would throw it out there. What is the most confusing gift you've ever received?
Oh, I
Where you
have
open
one
the
of
box and you go, "Whoa, okay, thank you." My mother was the most legendary, confusing gift giver of all time. But my favorite was a Christmas gift I got from her. It arrived in the mail. I opened it up, and inside was a bottle of colloidal silver,
Oh, yes.
which is like a scam right-wing Tucker Carlson kind of
but
thing. or-
before it was that, it was mainstream 70s.
Was it? Okay. A box of some sort of high fiber cereal I'd never heard of before, and a gigantic snowball candle that was about 2 or 3 pounds of wax that looks like the popcorn texturing that we use on ceilings here in California. So after about a month, it was just caked with dust and nastiness, and just, it was the ugliest thing you've ever seen.
You could have burned it down.
Yeah, to this day I have no idea. Like,
Oh, I get it completely.
I think she just threw some random stuff together.
No,
in a
she
box.
didn't. No, she didn't. This was your weight loss kit.
A candle.
This was your
and
head. This is your. I think because the colloidal silver is a health tonic. The high fiber cereal is healthful. This is all about being healthy.
And the candle makes it a Christmas present.
And the candle makes it a Christmas present.
Oh,
That is
okay.
insane.
Yep.
All right.
Like,
All right.
how, I don't have I don't know if you guys have I have like a lesson learned gift.
Okay.
That'll make people feel terrible all over again. The biggest lesson I learned about receiving gifts, and my biggest foot and mouth moment that I still remember, was probably around the same age, maybe like 10 or 11. One of the gifts I got, and I unwrapped it, and it was a lava lamp.
Oh,
And I had wanted one. And I was like,
I know this story.
oh, I've told you this? Yeah. So as I was unwrapping it, something about the box, I think, was like faded. And so when I looked at the picture of it, it looked like it was like kind of light orange, like the wax, the actual, quote unquote lava. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like everyone has those red ones. And I'm so sick of those. Like I want, and like didn't realize, well, it was just a red lava lamp. And I think whoever got it for me, maybe one of my sisters, was like, well, I mean, that is a red one. And I was like, why did I say that? Why? Because I was trying to be excited. Like I was excited and I wanted and I just.
Oh, and you thought you were telling her how special
You were putting
Yeah.
a cherry on top of the sundae.
Right. I was like,
with that.
oh,
Yeah.
you picked a good one because it's not red.
Actually,
and
it's
that's
red.
the comment and it's actually red. And so ever since then, I have learned, do not comment on the gift, even if you think you're saying something good about it.
Oh, wow. You have a lot of rules about gift giving.
Now I do. Yeah. And you can imagine, like, these all kind of lead to
Jesus.
feeling guilty about receiving gifts.
I'm trying to remember how old I was. A barbecue kit, and I was like,
What?
It's between the ages of like 8 and 11. And it was
like a real barbecue kit?
Like, no, just like the utensils for like the grill.
No, like not like a kid's barbecue kit. Like
No, like an
plastic
adult,
utensils.
like full size, just like the
Like
grill
tongs.
utensils, tongs, a grill brush.
You know, the boy loves cooking.
One of those, the spork things.
And how old were you?
I was like between 8 and 11.
And no way to cook anything.
No grill. We didn't have a grill. Like,
I will say
I had
this-
never expressed interest in barbecuing.
I will say this does sort of fit with my stereotypes of Midwesterners. So it's like you are a male in the Midwest. Here is your barbecue set. You are now 10. You are a man.
The boy needs
So-
a barbecue.
Yeah.
I will say that this came from my aunt who we every year we were allowed to open the gifts from my aunt on Christmas Eve because they were always just so bizarre. And like,
okay.
And we would try to decipher like, why did she give this?
So this was a thing.
Yes,
This was like
it was a
everyone
tradition,
knew.
Oh, I know.
and it was always kind of like
that's so
excitement.
funny.
And it's because she was very generously buying gifts for all of her nieces and nephews, and going to Ross for Less,
Okay.
and get like
Just grabbing
like
stuff.
one of those chaos stores where it's like, here's a candle and a grill kit and a ceramic angel, and
Yeah.
they're all next to each other,
Right.
And I
There
think
are
it's like,
families where it's more important to give something than something good.
yes.
I would not like that.
Yeah, and it was like it at least turned into a fun tradition of like, what are the Miss Patty gifts going to be?
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I would be more okay with that if everyone in the room was on the same page. Like, okay,
Yes.
this is
Yeah.
just baffling and
Yeah.
No,
funny.
and it wasn't in front of her. It was like a fun thing for us to be like, okay, what wacky gift are we going to get this year?
Right. Okay, that's fine.
Well, speaking of wacky gifts, so this was a really good I got a good haul that particular year. So there was like all these little presents, right? Like there's a couple of big things. Like I think there was a bicycle. That's actually another story. Oh boy, that's another story. But there was. Yeah, that's another story. So, but there are all these little, Trevor, you call them stocking stuffers. They were just strewn about the mantle of the fireplace, and it was amazing. And it was all the little nerdy things that I liked as I was probably 13. So like there was like this paper astronomy wheel that twisted, and you would set one of the wheels to the time of year, and it would show you the constellations visible in the sky because I was really into astronomy.
Yeah.
And so all these little but also little stupid little toys like a cup and a ball and a string.
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah, okay, I do that. And so there was actually some interesting gift there. And because I was really developing my classical music chops, the coloring books of famous classical composers.
Wait.
I am 13 years old and I'm getting coloring books.
Oh,
And why I'm getting coloring books is because every page not only has a portrait that you color in of a famous composer like Bach or Brahms or Beethoven,
Yeah.
but on the facing page is a little biography of the composer.
okay.
So, you learn and have fun.
And you get to color.
And you get to color. And I remember like, what the fuck, Mom?
At 13. Yeah, that's a little late for that one. Huh.
Well, dear listener, have you received an unusual gift? I actually would love to hear about it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So, Trevor, where can they tell us about that?
Well, we're on Instagram and Blue Sky as @BigFatGayPod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Leave us 5 stars there. Leave us 5 stars or a review on your preferred podcast platform.
Yeah.
Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. And see the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com, baby. Well, maybe you're finishing wrapping your presents, you watched Dear Santa, you listened to this episode, and you hear a little thumping up on the roof and just little dust sprinkles coming down the chimney. Oh no, I'm falling!